Hi, I'm Michael Attie, Los Angeles, California. I teach meditation here at my living room where we're sitting, which is called the Don't Worry Zendo, and at Playmates of Hollywood, the world's largest lingerie store on Hollywood Boulevard, which I own.
And how old are you?
I'm 55 years old. And actually, when I tell people I'm 55 years old, almost no one believes me. They say, "You don't look 55. And I always say, meditation and lingerie is the secret to youth.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your religion? Is it Buddhism, Hinduism?
I don't know. If you think you're a Buddhist, then you're a human being. You're a body that was born. Then you got ideas. If you think you're Hindu, the same thing, and it limits you. If you're what you really are is boundless, all-pervading love source that creates everything that everything is made of. It's always here. That's vast space. That's consciousness that every thought is occurring to. But if you think you're anything, then you can't experience the immense, unlimited nature of what you really are. So, Buddhist, Hindu, that's just an idea of being an incarnated person.
So are you...
But I've studied them both, and that's ultimately what they both teach. They both teach in essence, as all religions, that same thing.
Let's start back there. How did you get into it? How old were you, and what brought you to Japan?
Okay, well, I lived in Berkeley in the 60s. I went to school there, and the first Asian teachers were coming to America, and that was kind of popular there. So I was exposed to it. I think everyone takes up a spiritual life for two reasons. Number one, they have some pain, something unfinished, unsettled, and incomplete in their life that they feel, and everyone has that in some way. And they have some intimation of that we're in heaven all the time. Could just be through natural. In those days, everyone was smoking pot. I was never a big drug person. Just taking walks, spontaneously that happens. So you want to eliminate the pain, and you know that when you touch that place where somehow things are connected, everything is one, and everything is beautiful. You want to deepen it, and you have the idea, especially if you're fortunate enough to live in a place where that information is available, that through some spiritual discipline, you can deepen this, make it broader and more common in your life. And in those days, Zen, there's been waves of interest in Eastern spirituality, but in those days, Zen was the most popular. So there are a few Zen teachers I found and studied with here in America, went to lectures and retreats with, and then I wanted to see Zen in its place of where it's really a living, deep, long-lasting tradition. So I went to Japan and practiced and studied it there also.
So you became a Buddhist monk at you lived with monks in a monastery in Japan. How did that work? How was it?
The Japanese style is so strong and kind of like samurai style, a lot of sitting, that it was extremely intense and wonderful, but my body wasn't cut out for it. After one training season, I came home limping with using a cane, which actually I couldn't sit cross-legged for a year or two. I tore the ligaments in my knee there. But in that one training period, actually, I found a wonderful teacher and a wonderful place. It was 3 months, really, and I stayed in Japan a little bit longer, but the 3 months lived in the monastery. That was as much as I could do. But it's so intense, you kind of go through heaven and hell. The sitting periods are so long, especially, in the Zen world, there are different lineages and streams, and
what were your tasks? What did you have to do in the monastery?
You meditate a lot. You get up in the morning, everything is immaculately clean, everyone mops and dusts. All the monks start from one end of the monastery, go to the other like a horde of little ants, dusting, mopping. You meditate a lot during the meditation, intense weeks, maybe 12 hours a day, you're just sitting. Sometimes an hour or two without moving. It's hell, and it's heaven. If you're waiting for the bell to ring, you're in bad trouble. It's hell. You just have to let go of time, each moment, only this moment. Then there's an ocean that you disappear. You kind of like a little bit call it leave your body, or there's grace or spirit that creates everything. It's in all spiritual traditions, there's a tradition of enduring difficulties and pain to deepen your letting go, and then you get embraced by reality. So that's very intense in a Zen monastery.
So during this time, were you you had to be abstinent with sex and women and all this. How did you manage it? I mean, was it hard?
No, you're just trying to survive. The regimen is so demanding and difficult. And also, I've lived at Zen centers here also, where it's not nearly as difficult in America. That you're just the subject barely crosses your mind. You don't sleep much. You don't eat much. I don't think you have a lot of extra protein to do that kind of stuff. And 1 week a month is this intense meditation where you're pretty much meditating all day, working a little bit, not sleeping much. You kind of forget it. Again, I don't know the inner workings of people that are there for years and years. I heard rumors maybe homosexuality is rampant. Monks there have an off period. They're like 3 months this intense practice, 3 months off. They go back home. Maybe they have girlfriends, boyfriends. I don't know. But the 3 months of intense practice, the question doesn't arise.
So it's not, Zen Buddhism is not as strict as other Buddhist religions, right?
There are different sects of Zen. And some of them, monks do take celibate vows, just like in Tibetan Buddhism, the same thing. In some sects, monks marry, in some sects they don't. It's pretty complicated.
But when you had to be abstinent, when you were missing having sex, were you like, you know?
I don't think then I was. No, I don't recall it being a major obsession at all at the time. Maybe if I stayed there for a few years, I'm sure it would have crept in. I mean, I'm not cut out to be a monk. I know that.
Is it kind of like being in the army, or like, you know?
Totally, exactly. You're in the army, and just trying to survive. It's rough going in a Zen monastery. Basically, they're there to kill you. They're there to eliminate your idea. I'm Mike. You're in a Zen monastery. The Roshi used to tell me, the koan he would give me, that's a Zen question, you interview the Roshi a few times a day, is show me mu. Mu means emptiness. Mu means you don't exist as a separate thing. Mu means everything is part of you when you're dead. Well, practicing meditation is practicing dying, really. No past. If there's your idea of you is your idea of past, future, want this, hope for that, did that. If you're just here, you become boundless, you become being, space, awareness without a content. Those things all merge into one, and then you find it's made of bliss or love. But you got to die to have that happen. So if you're worrying about where you're going to get laid, you're not really dead.